So things with Nintendo since the Direct last week has really just kind of went off the rails. Now, I did my reaction to a lot of the games of the Direct. Thought the Direct was really, really good overall. But after the Direct, we really kind of had the oh my god moment when all the pricing came out. And I did a video talking about the prices and the prices of the games and my thoughts on it. But since then, so many more things has come out about the console, and there's a lot of stuff that I just feel like anti-consumer. Now, I have not done a follow-up video since last week, but like I said, so many different things has popped up since then, whether it be the console being delayed, pre-orders delayed here in North America and Canada. You know, basically Nintendo had their oh my god Don Matrix moment. If you guys are maybe a little too young, don't understand that. Back when Microsoft was debuting the Xbox One console, Don Matrix, you know, Xbox One, it was really a disaster, much like Switch 2 right now, where they wanted to enforce DRM, they wanted to enforce all these policies. It was a $500 machine. And when asked about, hey, what about people that don't have internet connections, or why is this console so expensive? Don Matrix said, hey, you know, I don't know about the internet connection. I'm sorry. But if you want an offline machine, we have the Xbox 360. And then famously, Jeff Keighley says, so stick with 360. That's your message. Well, Nintendo kind of had the same message, where Doug Bowser, the guy in charge of Nintendo of America, basically said, hey, if you can't afford Switch 2 or the Switch 2 games, then guess what, guys? You can keep playing the original Switch, guys. And you can see like the Xbox symbol. You can see Don Matrix over here. This is the clip, the famous Don Matrix clip. And for the record, you know, as someone who was, I believe, in my mid-20s when the Xbox One came out, or early 30s, I don't remember exactly, Microsoft was never able to come back from that. Like, that forever crippled Microsoft. When Xbox One came out and it had these policies, by the way, all these policies that we use today and don't think anything of it, Microsoft was ahead of the game, but they had this expensive machine with this camera that nobody wanted, and they fumbled the PR game. And they didn't listen until it was too late. It wasn't until after the launch they brought in Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer really turned everything around. By that point, the damage has been done. Microsoft's reputation, the Xbox reputation, has never went back to the heights of the Xbox 360. So when someone like Doug Bowser comes out and you see articles like this where he's saying, hey, stick with the original Xbox, and of course you see the whole situation with Don Matrix in the corner, it's not a very good look. There's so many things going on with the Switch 2 and people defending it. I don't understand why people are defending this, like the pricing in the game. Like, I don't understand why people are accepting this. It really kind of blows my mind how people are just so loyal to a corporation and not willing to stand up and say, no, we're not going to do this. Now, I'm a fan of Nintendo, guys. My first video game console, well, it might have been the Atari 2600, but I remember the Nintendo. I remember playing Castlevania 2, Mario, all that stuff. You know, I'm repping the Zelda shirt just to show you I love Nintendo. I'm passing on the Switch 2 because to me, and it's not even the hardware price. It's just the software, and you have so many people out there trying to justify the pricing of these games. Well, back in the 90s, you paid $95 for Killer Instinct. Like, I don't want to hear all that. I don't want to hear this whole thing, well, when you adjust from inflation, like, it was a different time back then. Okay, eggs didn't cost $10. Rent didn't cost $2,200 to $2,400 for a one-bedroom apartment. Like, it was a different time back then. So don't give me this whole inflation thing. Oh, when you just inflate. These are a bunch of young people who weren't even born then trying to justify $80 for Mario Kart. There is no world in which I live that Mario Kart is worth $80. It just isn't. No one's going to sit there and tell me that an open world Mario Kart game costs just as much to develop as a game like Forza Horizon 5. That isn't possible. Okay? This is Nintendo saying, hey, guess what? We had the best selling console of all time. I know Jim Ryan came out and mysteriously said, hey, we sold like 5 more PS2s that was never on the book, so they could try to keep that number one. But all justified. The Switch is the greatest selling video game of all time. What happens when stuff like that happens? Corporations get greedy and they think that they can do whatever they want. We have seen this throughout history. PS2 sold 150 million consoles. Guess what? They came out with the PS3, tried to charge people $500-$600 for a machine. Guess what? Really kind of hurt Sony pretty bad for a while. And then they had to redo everything. We saw Xbox 360, like it won that generation. I think PS3 kind of won that generation, but 360 was the default console in everybody's house. And then guess what? Microsoft came out and they did the whole $500 Connect thing. The problem is these corporations, once they start doing really well, they're not humble. Right? They let their hubris get in the way, and then they start charging people ass amount of money for these things. There's no way Mario Kart World is worth $80. If it was worth $80, then why is the bundle $500 and not $530? Right? If Mario Kart was worth $80, then how come the bundle is not $530? You know, and then when you have comments like this where it's like, hey, just stick to the original. And not only that, the thing is, Nintendo is like money hatting so many different things. Not money hatting is the wrong word, but they're nickel and diming everybody over everything. Like, hey, you want the tech demo? That's $10. Joy-Con, $90. Pro controller, that's $80. Hey, you want to know that chat feature with the button? We're charging for that. You know, we're going to lock GameCube games behind a paywall, which is fine, but it's only going to be on Switch too. A $450 paywall. You know, I know for a fact GameCube game emulators can run on the regular Switch. I know that for a fact. Why they're doing that? Because they want you to buy the console. I personally am passing on the Switch too. To me, in this economy today, it doesn't make sense to pay that much money for video games. The last full price video game I paid was for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because I'm a massive Final Fantasy fan. That's $70. I don't spend $70 on games. I just don't. I wait for games to go on sale. I buy pre-owned. It just, today, you know, even if you have the money, because back in my 20s, my early 30s, I bought almost every new release game that came out. You know, $60, I didn't care. I was dropping $120 left and right on games. Did not matter. But when you grow up, and get a little older, not grow up, that's the wrong word. When you grow a little older and become a little wiser, you kind of realize like, hey, should I spend $70, $80? Should I spend $80 on Mario Kart? What happens if I get a flat tire? You know, that $80 would come really handy on a new tire. Or, hey, here's a phone bill that's due. Should I get Mario Kart World or pay this phone bill? Or, hey, you know what? I need to go to the doctor, or I need to buy medication, or God forbid someone in my family passed away and we have to worry about traveling or funeral arrangements. Like, you start to put in like perspective, like $80. You know, back when it was like $50, it was kind of just like, here's $50, you know. But then, you know, you start raising the price, and then PlayStation raised the price to $70, and then Nintendo said, hold my beer, $80 for Mario Kart. And really, that's the part that kind of gets me. It has nothing to do with the hardware price. I'm perfectly fine with the hardware price being $450, but the software price, I'm not paying $450 for a console and then almost $100 for a game. When you take $80 and add the sales tax to, you're looking at almost $90 for a video game. We're supposed to play games to get relief of stress, not to be more stressed out. Like, what if you buy this game and you don't even like this game? You can't return it. You trade it in and get like half the value, so you're gonna pay $80, and then you start doing like these special Switch 2 editions of Breath of the Wild. Tears of the Kingdom is like $80. What are we talking about? And all it is a Switch 2 cartridge with a Switch 1 cartridge with a Switch 2 downloadable code to get the upgrade, and you're not upgrading anything other than the resolution and frame rate. Like, what are we doing, Nintendo? It's really anti-consumer. I cannot sit here and criticize PlayStation with their PlayStation 5 Pro being anti-consumer, coming in at $700 for the unit, no disk drive, no stand. You're gonna pay about $800 if you want everything, and it has the minimal upgrades. Oh, it's a little bit sharper. Doesn't really do anything else. It's running the same CPU. It has a little bit sharper with the PSSR AI upscaling. That's really it. And Sony comes out here and is trying to charge $700-$800. I can't criticize that and then also support Nintendo when Nintendo is really trying to do the same thing. When they're coming out with all these like excuses on why. And then Doug Bowser comes out and says, well, each one of our games are going to be adjusted accordingly depending on what we feel the replay value is, the dev time going in it. And Doug Bowser really has no power. Japan is telling him, and he's just relaying it, just like Reggie Fils-Aimé. Well, however you pronounce that guy's name, but Reggie, right? Reggie had no power. He's the spokesperson for Japan over in America. That's it. He just translates what they say. He has no power. He has no pull, and it's bad PR. It's bad for gamers. This is absolutely horrible, and I'm skipping out on the Switch too, man. I'm perfectly fine with my Switch. I have my Switch, I have my Steam Deck, I have my PC. I'm perfectly fine. If I want to play exclusive, I have my PlayStation. I'm perfectly fine where I'm at right now. Maybe 3-4 years down the road, maybe this is the Nintendo 3DS situation where Nintendo knows they effed up and then they're going to course correct and maybe we get those games back down to $60. Maybe they lower the price of the consoles. Maybe. Right now, I don't think it's a must-have console. You'll have fanboys out there champion for it, but for me, nah, not this guy. I'm not going to fall for that. But I want to know what you guys think. Be sure to leave your comments in the comment box below. Tell me how you feel about the Switch 2, the overall drama going on, not just with the pricing, but the bad PR and just everything. There's just so much going on. Leave those comments in the comment box below. Smash that like button, and I'll catch you guys next time.